Hello, hello, and welcome. This is the Financial Turtle, the podcast for people who are done chasing shortcuts and ready to build real financial foundations. I'm here with Eric Anderson, and for over a decade, he's helped business owners, nonprofit leaders, and everyday families make sense of money, taxes, and strategy. All right. Welcome. Today is another day. This is the Financial Turtle with Eric Anderson, the podcast for people who are done chasing shortcuts and ready to build real financial foundations. I'm here with Eric Anderson. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, sir. I'm good. And yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm doing phenomenal. How's your week been this week? How's your week been? I know you've been having a lot of clients. You're really busy. However, how's your week been? Just share with us a little bit about how's your financial week been going with your clients and stuff like that.
So it's been a pretty good week. We've had a couple of interesting things going on. I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about a little bit of some of the stuff with some clients that have been going on so far this week, this month, actually this year. We spend a whole lot of time, just being honest, dealing with a lot of the information that a lot of my clients get online, that stuff that I have to kind of coach them, teach them, fix some things and stuff like that. So sometimes the weeks get pretty interesting.
All right. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. We're going to jump right into this. Today's episode is business or hobby. Why profit still matters, you guys. Many entrepreneurs borrow money, right? They try to build this business credit, take out business credit, right? And take out loans, but never make a dime. Never make a dime. This episode explores why profit, not hype, is the true foundation for sustainability. Eric, explain to us and those out here listening, what defines a real business versus a hobby with the logo?
So for me, if I was to say to somebody what is a business, to me, there's a difference between a business and a successful business. So everybody believes they have a business. A whole bunch of people go get DBAs, they go get LLCs, they start a business, be it they're making plates, they cut hair, side hustles. A lot of people believe that if they have a side hustle and it's an LLC, that it's actually a true business. In the sense of the word, it is. But when someone says, what is a successful business? To me, when someone says, I have an actual successful business, it's a business that not only is able to pay all the expenses of the business, but I have to also pay myself as if I was an employee of the business. I think that's the part that people miss, because if I own a business and I spend all my time in that business and the business cannot pay me a salary, I'm pretty much spinning my wheels. The opportunity cost of me being able to just go to a job and be able to pay my bills, as opposed to all the stress, the drama, the hard work it takes to own a business. Because usually if you have a successful business, the business is not 9 to 5. So I know the concept that people say, I want to have a business so I can work less. Those are usually people, unless it's some type of passive, your business is probably not successful if you have a lot of free time. So again, a successful business to me is a business that not only can pay all the business expenses, but can also pay you a salary. Especially if I owned a business, I definitely want to make more from my business than I could make going out and working for somebody. Because why handle all that stress? Why deal with all the responsibility of owning the business, taking care of all the bills, making sure everything runs right in my business, as opposed to taking a seat and going to work for somebody? And usually that's why most people say they want to have their own business. They want to be their own boss, so to speak. They don't want to work for anybody. They want to have their own thing. They want to create generational wealth, so to speak. They want to have something that they can leave for their family, which would be their business as opposed to their job. All for that. I'm not here to argue that statement or if that's what people feel. But the point of the matter is, how am I leaving generational wealth to my family if if my business doesn't even make enough money to sustain me today?
That's good, Eric. That's good. When I think about that, I think about generational wealth, and I want to do something with the money and with the time that I do have. And there's a lot of, as far as out there in the society and the social media world, well, if you have something that you're passionate about, that you really want to make some money off of it, or whatever the case may be, you kind of turn your little interest into a hobby, whether it's a t-shirt business, and then you see all the ads for people like, I started from here, and I'm in my apartment and I got all of this, and we were just shipping out. Now we got a warehouse. Now we got staff. I got my mama and my aunties and, man, my cousins helping. It's like one big family. And I was like, that's exciting. That's exciting to see that. And so I'm looking at it like, man, I could do that with my family and get my daughters involved, wife, and all this, and we can have this family generational business, and it feels good, and it feels good. And it's like, well, that's something that's small as a hobby can turn into something big. But the reality of that, Eric, is there's a lot of challenges that go into that, a lot of sacrifices that go into that. So what would that be as far as those folks out there? What would you say to them that, like, it kind of feels a little desperate, but it's like, man, I'm inspired by these people, right?
Again, part of that problem is when you start a business, you really need to think about, is this something that I'm going to get repeat customers for? So what I mean by that is, like you said, I can say, hey, I'm going to go write a book. I'm going to be an author. And so I might write this book. I might have a book signing. A whole bunch of people might come. I sell a couple hundred books or whatever. And now I think I have a book that I'm an author. But again, this isn't something that's going to sustainably keep giving me money on a monthly basis. A lot of the businesses that we do, like you said, if I sell t-shirts or something like that, something that people are just going to buy it one time, and that's it. Even if I said I sell insurance. So if I'm selling insurance and I get all my family members and everybody to buy insurance, this is why there's such a high rate of turnover in things like that. You start out, everybody wants to support you. Everybody wants to be a fan of what you're doing. But once you do that one sale, and then I can't get anybody to continue to buy from me, obviously it's going to fail because, again, I don't have that repeat revenue that comes in on a monthly basis, even though a great example of that would be if I opened up a restaurant. So when I first opened up the restaurant, everybody's going to come to the place. They're going to represent. They're going to support me because, again, like you said, I've been making plates out of my house. I've been driving around on the weekends, dropping off plates. Everybody says how wonderful I cook and all this and that. So I really and truly believe I can turn that into a business. But not only do I not understand, in order for that to continue happening, these people have got to come on a regular basis, and I've got to grow that business. And that's just the selling part. We don't even talk about the part that we don't think about is it's one thing if I'm selling them out of my house, I'm driving around. But then when somebody's telling me I can do all this and that because, I make great food or whatever, what do? I quit my job and I go get a brick and mortar and I go do all these things. And now all of a sudden I'm still here at this revenue, but now I have all this overhead. I have all these expenses. And on top of the business expenses, again, I'm an employee of my business now. So when I was doing it as a side hustle and stuff like that, I had a job that was paying my bills. But now if I'm really trying to grow this business and I'm going for it, like you're saying, I'm going to quit my job in many cases, and then I'm going to try to do this full time. And we don't think about the fact that not only do I have the business expenses now, I also have me as an expense because my personal bills don't stop just because I started this business. And we're going to get into it, but that is really when I see all these credit repair people and all this and that talking about how they can get you $250,000, $500,000 to start your business. That's where the downfall starts. Again, I'm not saying that everybody who does this fails, but the majority of people fail. There are people who either fail. Again, look up the statistics, look at the percentage of businesses that fail. It's inevitable. Restaurants fail, clothing stores fail, because again, you're not getting the repeat clientele necessary to cover all of your expenses. You're not bringing in the revenue to be able to cover all your expenses. And then if you are somebody who believes that all I need to do is get this huge amount of credit that these people are getting you in order to start your business, you're spending the majority of the first few years in your business doing what? Living off of those loans, living off of that line of credit. So you're under the belief that your business is successful because you have money in the bank, because you're able to pay your bills, you're able to pay your salary. But the tragedy is most people who own a business have no clue what a profit and loss statement looks like or how it works. They have no clue how a balance sheet works, because if you were really able to dig into your numbers and look at how your profit and loss statement works and how the cash flow in your business is really working and what money, how your bills are really being paid. Is it being paid by your revenue, or is it being paid by all of the line of credit, the credit cards, and all that stuff that you're getting before the business is even successful. You're running out here and having these people having you get all these loans and stuff that you could not get on your own. If I have a successful business and I have profit and loss statements, I have tax returns, all that stuff that I can take to a bank and show that I can sustain and be able to pay these bills back, to pay this credit back, you'll get a loan. That's one of the things I dealt with this week, just like we're talking about. I deal with clients all the time who actually have profitable businesses and they're able to go to a bank and be able to get money. They might not be able to get 500,000 or whatever, but why do they need that? If I have a business that is not making any money, and in many cases, I don't even have a business, but we run to these seminars, we run to all these things, and we let these people say, I'm going to help you fix your credit, and then I'm going to get you all of this money on a business that isn't making any money. And so to believe that just because I hand you $250,000 or $500,000, say, hey, just put that money into this business and it's going to start flowing. That has nothing to do with you having repeat customers or you having repeat revenue. It doesn't matter how much money you put into that business. If the business just does not have, if it's not a business that is set to make money, there, you can put all the money in the world you want to put into it. There are rich people whose restaurants have closed. So please tell me how it's about money. There are athletes, there are entertainers out here who have tried to start businesses, who have tried to start restaurants that have failed. So explain to me how it's all about money. It's not. Once you keep doing that and the business, again, you've got to understand your profit and loss statement. It will be absolutely crazy for me to continue to keep putting money into something that's not making me money. And in those cases, it's costing me money. But the problem is you don't understand that it's costing you money because I hate to use this phrase. You're using other people's money to pay your bills, but you don't understand that you got to pay that money back. If I had to take my money out of my job and put that into a business to try to grow that business, eventually I'm going to shut that business down if I'm steadily having to take money personally to fund this business that is not making me any money. The problem is we get somebody to get us these huge amounts of money that, again, we could not get on our own because, again, we don't have the financials to prove we could pay that back. But again, I won't get into how they do it, the lies that they put on your application, all that drama. Again, your common sense should tell you if I walk into a bank and they don't let me get the loan, and then 30 days later, somebody else is able to get me hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you believe that they didn't have to lie on your application to get it. Okay, so be it. I would ask them to see the application because, again, all they're doing is setting you up for failure. But I digress. The point is, though, so many people walk around thinking that they have a business. And again, if you don't understand how your cash flow works, if you don't understand the profit and loss statement on your business, you're fooling yourself. If you really and truly are walking around thinking you're successful and thinking you have a business because you're able to make payroll, you're able to keep the lights on, you're able to pay the rent for the business, and then you're basically living off of that line of credit. You're living off of those credit cards. You're living off of that loan to pay your own personal bills. And then you can just keep on doing this cycle all you want. Like I said, I have clients who call all the time and say, this bank needs a profit and loss statement. This bank needs a profit and loss statement. This bank needs a profit and loss statement. So you're just continuing this cycle of having to continue to keep borrowing money, keep borrowing money, keep borrowing money from your business. Now, if you're a business that's growing, of course, if I need more money because I want to up my marketing. So I believe if I go get $50,000 in marketing, it's going to triple my business. But most of the time when people are trying to get loans or trying to get line of credits, again, I guarantee you, if you go to some of these seminars and you were to say to the people, hey, can you tell me what you're making in revenue now? And can you tell me what you plan on doing with this money to help you grow your business? If you get this loan, what are you going to do with this money to help you grow your business? And again, it's not just me. Anybody who watched Shark Tank, that's the first thing they say to people, right? What are you going to do with this money? What are you going to do with this money? So it's not just me. It's not just me. Don't say, I don't know what I'm talking about. If you watch Shark Tank, the first thing they say to you is, what do you plan on doing with this money? Are you going to go buy a Tesla with it? Are you going to go buy a G-Wagon with it so you can write it off? Is that your plan? Are you going to go to Dubai with it? Are you going to take a private jet with it? Is that what you're going to do with it? What kind of sense does that make? I'm really trying not to go there, but that really amazes me when I see people who do credit repair, help people get money and stuff like that. And you do videos of you spending money wastefully. Like you're trying to show people that if you get all this money, you can do all this stuff wastefully. You're not showing me anything about growing my business or being able to pay that money back. But we fall for it. Just like we fall for, again, like I said, which is the topic of what we're talking about. You fall for believing that if you get me a whole bunch of money, my business is automatically going to start making more money. And anybody who owns a business who does it from the ground up, who's had to go and borrow money on their own, who's had to take money out of their 401k, who's had to borrow money from their family, who's had to do things like that, will tell you a lot of times you can get yourself in a bigger hole trying to chase this passion that you're trying to follow. Again, I'm not telling anybody not to quit their job, not to follow their passion. I did that. I quit my job, but I didn't run out and go get 50, 100, $150,000 loans. I grew my business. I didn't. So once my business started making money, I didn't owe a whole bunch of people. I didn't owe a whole bunch of banks or businesses or anything like that. I didn't owe anybody a whole bunch of money. I had to fight through it. But once I started making money and was profitable, then I was able to start investing. I was able to start doing those type of things because I didn't have to pay back these high credit card bills. I didn't have to pay back this high line of credit. So again, that's the part that you need to think about. I won't even talk about the amazing part of I go and take a course, pay $5, $10, $15, $20,000 again on a business that's not making money. So I'm already in the hole for that. And then you got the audacity to say, okay, I'm going to get you 250 to 500,000. And again, if you're not one of those credit repair people who does what I'm about to say, I apologize. But the people who come into my office and tell me what the people who they're talking to are trying to do, you're trying to charge me 10% for whatever you get me. If you get me $500,000 in business credit, again, on a business that's not making money, and I paid $10, $15, $20,000 for your course, I'm in the hole for $50,000 to $70,000, and I have not sold a product. Where they do that at? Where does that make sense at? And the part that you don't understand is if somebody's watching to say he doesn't know what he's talking about, guess who's saying that? It's the person who has your $50,000. That's the person who's saying it because they could give a damn. It's like a drug dealer. I could give a damn what you do once you walk away from me with those drugs. I could care less what you do. And that's the part we don't understand. You're watching these people and so excited about how successful they're telling you they are, but you're never going to be successful. You're never going to be successful. More than likely, you're never going to be successful. You're damn sure going to be as successful as them. But that's who you're chasing. That's who you believe that because you're watching them and you're saying, okay, that person can teach me how to be successful like them. Only if you're charging people 10% of whatever you do for them to get $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 off of each client you sit in front of, and then tell them to go on their way. And you have a bag full of money. And if I walked up to you and say, great, you have all this money now, can you tell me your business plan on how to make this money work? Buying Bitcoin is not a response. Let me stop you. Saying I'm going to throw it on a bit, that is not a great response. I know Bitcoin is going well, but that is not a great response. That is too volatile to sit there and say, I'm going to risk everything on buying Bitcoin. Most people who buy Bitcoin can take the loss if something happens to Bitcoin. That's the part they don't tell you. The people who are getting you to do these things, if Bitcoin fails, I still got all this other stuff going on. So I'll be good if this thing I'm investing in falls apart. That's why it's always funny when you hear this is what wealthy people do, this is what wealthy people do. Because if this falls apart, a wealthy person will still be fine. But you're taking your last and borrowing to do the things that wealthy people do. If it falls apart, not only do you lose all that money, you got to pay back all the money you borrowed to do it. Wealthy people don't do that.
So would you ever recommend anyone going into debt to start a business? I know you just said that, like, as far as not taking out loans, and you did that for yourself.
Correct.
However, it's like, you bet on yourself, Eric, and you were able to make that work. And so if the person that's listening right now, just trying to like, hey, like, I want to do this and I want to bet on myself too. I believe in myself. And I know that a lot of us should have that confidence and should have a belief in their ability to be able to do some things. But there's also some challenges that come with that. How long did you as far as your challenges, how long was that duration of challenge to really get your business to grow, to be like, okay, I'm starting out here. I'm betting on myself. And then from there, I'm going to build my business. How long did that take to where you can get like, hey, I'm not pulling from all my savings and I'm not pulling from here and all that. Now it's self-sustaining. Can you share with us a little bit about that?
For myself, the way that it happened, I was working at a job and I was doing, again, I was doing a side hustle, so to speak. I was doing taxes on the side and I was meeting with clients and everybody kept saying exactly what we're saying right now. Exactly what we're saying right now. Everybody was saying, you need to do this full time. You need to do this full time. And I kept saying, this cannot sustain me. Just doing taxes cannot sustain me. And so as I kept doing it, and I started meeting with business owners, which again is kind of funny on what we're talking about right now. I started meeting with business owners. And when we were having conversations about their taxes, it was like, who's doing your bookkeeping? You know what I'm saying? You're just bringing me boxes. I can't have you just bring me boxes and charge you 250, 300, 500 or whatever to do your taxes. It's like, it takes me hours to get your numbers together, to do your bookkeeping and all this and that. And so it started with clients saying, hey, well, I'll pay you to do my bookkeeping. And so if I'm charging more to do bookkeeping per hour or per month than what I'm being paid at my job, it became to a point where, hey, this job is costing me money. Do you understand what that means? I can make more money if I'm doing this on my own as opposed to working for you and you're paying me a certain amount. The problem is most people who start a business, like you said, who are following their passion and things like that, you're not even making money yet. You're not even making any real money. But again, you believe if I put more money into it, I'm going to be able to grow the business. And again, I don't even have the clientele. I don't even have the revenue right now to prove that this is a sustainable business. So for myself, like I said, I was already doing this on the side as I was growing my business. And like everybody else, most people, I couldn't stand my job. I felt it was stagnant. I felt I wasn't being paid enough. I felt there were things I wanted to do with my life as far as finances, as far as all types of things that I felt I was not getting at that job. So again, I jumped out, I took the leap, as they say, and I said, I'm going to start my own business. But again, I was already doing something that I felt was going to be able to make me money because, again, repeat clientele, offering a service that I know is going to grow because it's something that everybody needs. You see the difference? Again, what I'm doing, my job in many ways is a need. It's not a want. Do you understand what I'm saying? Everybody needs to get their taxes done. Everybody should have financial coaching. Everybody should learn budgeting. Everybody who owns a business should do bookkeeping. But for the most part, everybody needs to get their taxes done. Now, I have plenty of clients who don't do their taxes for years until they start getting letters. But for the most part, I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of repeat clients every year. So I know I'm going to make money every year. I don't have to worry about, is everybody going to keep coming to my restaurant? Is everybody going to buy these shirts? If I create a new shirt, is somebody going to buy that shirt or whatever? I have a business that is a need. Everybody's got to come see me by April 15th or do an extension and see me by October 15th. Personally, businesses march in in September. I know that. Just like I know it's getting ready to get busy for me because I've already sent out all the thing for all the extensions I did in March and April. So I know it's going to get busy for me here in the next couple of weeks. It always gets busy after April 15th for me for extensions. That's just the way it works. It's busy the first 4 months and then it's busy those 2 months. So again, I don't mean to say it in an arrogant manner. I know I'm going to always have business. As long as I do good work, people refer people and stuff like that, I know I'm always going to be able to grow my business. But somebody who follows a passion, who does something that you have to figure out to get people to go here, because this is a want as opposed to a need. And that's the part that people don't understand. People come in all the time and say, I want to start this business. I want to do this and that. And then again, I don't want to sound like Kevin O'Leary, but it's true. How does this make me money? That's the question you should ask yourself. How does this make you money? And when I say money, it's funny. Somebody was talking to me and we were talking about somebody being a baker. Let's say I bake cakes for people and I charge 70 cakes, do your wedding cake, to do your birthday cake or whatever. And again, I'm sure people charge more than that, but I'm just going to use $75 as an example. So I'm excited because I collected $75, right? And in my head, I'm like, man, I don't make that per hour at my job or whatever. Somebody paid me $75 for a cake. What's the problem with that thinking?
The problem with that thinking, as far as the $75 for the cake,
Correct.
$75 is a lot for a cake. But so what would you say on that?
Because think about all the ingredients I had to buy, the boxes, all
Yeah.
that stuff, and opportunity cost. Again, the opportunity cost of me taking the time to bake it as opposed to me going and just working for somebody. When somebody owns a business, they don't look at it like that. So a lot of times when people say, well, why do you charge this amount of what you charge? Because again, if I worked somewhere else, I'd be, yeah, they might pay me less, but look at all my overhead expenses. Look at the expenses it takes for me to run my business. That's the part that a lot of people don't look at, especially let's say I own a restaurant or something like that. I gotta, and it's a brick and mortar. I gotta pay rent if nobody walks through the door, correct? I got to pay the employees who come in if nobody walks in the door. I got to pay utilities if nobody walks in the door.
Even if it's a slow night or slow day or slow
whatever.
week or
When
slow
you guys trying
month,
to send people
you're still
home or
locked
whatever.
in.
But yeah, but you still got to pay rent. You still got to pay all of these overhead costs. And we don't think about that. All we see is, man, it was packed tonight. So you're thinking you're making all this money, or like the cake thing. I went there and I dropped the cake off and you handed me money. But then if you took the time to say, okay, how much did it cost for all the stuff? How many people do you think actually take a look at every sale they make and say, this was my profit? So maybe I need to raise my prices, or maybe I need to figure out how to bring my expenses down a little bit. Again, these are business plan questions that you should be asking yourself instead of sitting at the seminar trying to get all this money that you're more than likely going to blow. Because again, you don't have the simple basics of understanding how cash flow works in your business and what is a profitable business and what is not. We don't see that. Because again, trust me, you would not be excited about paying the car note on a Tesla or a G-Wagon or going on vacation and stuff just to write off on your taxes if you really and truly looked at your profit and loss statement and saw that that car payment is killing you. So what does it matter that you can write it off on your taxes if I can't pay my bills? That's the logic we don't use. We get excited. And again, I know I'm telling the truth, because why are you doing videos like that? You're trying to impress people. You're trying to get people to be your client because you're making people believe that that's what wealth is. That's what being successful is. You believe that. You want them to believe that. But again, if you really sat down on your thing, it's crazy. Like I said, people send me videos all the time. And it's like, they said I can write off a G-Wagon, or I can write off this, or I can write off going here and stuff like that. Is that true? And my answer all the time is that something that that you could do? It's not about taxes. Is not only not to get myself in trouble, not only number one, is that actually a taxable write-off? Because again, a lot of people are out here doing things and saying it's about their business, and it's not. But we'll put that to the side. But is this something that my business can afford to do? Is this an expense I can afford to do? And again, when we say, is this something I can afford to do? Can I still pay myself a salary? Can I be putting money away? Because again, I hate to break everybody's heart. It doesn't matter if I'm saving taxes on writing that vacation or that car off, and I'm not taking these quote unquote savings and invest in it. When I sit down and we talk about, you need to show your business profitable to put money into a SEP IRA, or we need to open up an IRA, or we need to open up a Roth, a traditional or a Roth IRA. Or if you're somebody who says you don't believe in that, great. You believe in real estate? Great. Do you have the money to invest in real estate? And you do understand that if you own real estate, you might want to have some reserves for that. Just in case. Yeah.
A lot of reserves.
I don't know what I'm talking about. Because everybody who owns real estate, 100% tenants, they all pay, nothing breaks. So I don't need no reserves. I don't need no money in case something happens. Correct? That's what they want to make you believe, right? Correct?
Yeah.
But again,
somebody's going to clog up that toilet, and somebody's going to have to dig up that ground at some point, right? Like that's a real problem. Redo the floors, carpet.
Own home. So you got things happen in your home, but they're not going to happen at the real property. But again, the 30-second commercial and all that stuff telling you that you need to own real estate and you need to do all these things, cool. My thing is, like, when you ask me about me personally, I understood that I was putting my family at risk by quitting my job. I understood that. As long as you understand that and you don't blame anybody else, you're grown and you understand what you're doing. I'm not telling anybody not to follow their dreams. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to open your eyes to understanding. It's not as great as wonderful as this person who's teaching you this course is making you believe. It can fail. And what are you going to do if it fails? And you should not, and I know everybody says you should not think about failure. No, yes, you should. Yes, you should.
What I'm hearing, Eric, is to really count the costs before
Right.
you take that leap, right? Because
That's
there is a
that's
lot of cost, and you know, there's financial costs, there's emotional, there's all that good stuff, family costs, as far as the sacrifice to be able to put that much time and effort and energy into something, and it's still not pan out, right? Like, you know, and that's the reality of that.
it's a reality. It's
And
a
so
reality.
businesses in general, trying to get something off the ground is so much time, so much energy. You sacrifice a lot of time away from your family to be able to build something for your family. And you're trying to make it make sense, right? You're trying to make it make sense. And I'm counting the cost on, but I'm spending 60, 70, 80 hours on the business. And I'm still not producing enough to sustain my living expenses, and that can wear you out. That can really be a great toll. And I think that if you don't have reserves, the same thing like real estate, like something can happen. You know, I remember like my mother passed away. Hey, who's going to pay for this, right? Especially if you don't have any life insurance and stuff like that. Now you having to fit the bill and take care of your family in that way. And you're like, unexpected things that happen. And you thinking life is going to be, oh, I'm just going to set it up. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to put it on social media and have a website, and I'm just going to have all these sales. I'm going to have all this money coming in. And it's like, no, it doesn't happen like that. You be sitting there and no customers walk in or no emails.
And then you're bitter because you're again. I watch people on social media, like you said, and they say, I'm starting this, I got this, and everybody's congratulating you, and everybody is liking it, and everybody's saying, go do your thing and stuff like that. I'd be pissed if it was me. If I'm watching all those people and in my head, I'm like, but you're not a client. You're not a client. I'd be pissed. I would really and truly be pissed if all these people were liking my stuff and saying how great I was and all this and that. Like if I had a restaurant and everybody was saying, oh my God, it's so great, all this and that. Man, I can't wait to go there, can't wait to go there. But you never go there. Or you go once or twice. That's not going to sustain my business. You going to this once or twice. It's not. Again, if I got to look, again, all you see is you paid $15 or $20 for this plate. You don't think about all the overhead costs, all this and that I have to deal with in order to give you that $20 plate. And again, that's not the person who's buying it. That's not their job. That's your job. That's your business. That's your job to understand what it costs you to own a business. Again, I'm not telling people to not own a business. That's great to be an entrepreneur, to have your own thing. But as the saying goes, everybody is not built to own a business. It's absolutely impossible. It's almost like, I'm not trying to be funny. Like we were just saying before we got on, how on earth is everybody who's posting and having all these people liking about you saying you're doing credit repair? That's not even possible. It's not even possible that all of you are turning all these people into clients. It's not possible. There are thousands and thousands of people who go on social media and say they do credit repair. All of you do not have a business that is, again, a successful business. That's the problem. There's a difference between a business and a successful business. Everybody out here who sells IUL insurance is not balling. They can do all the videos and them walking around warehouses showing you all these cars and doing all this and that. They are not balling. They're not making money doing that. They're definitely not making the type of money that they're telling you they're making. But then they somehow convince you into believing that, not even so much buy the policy from them, they make you believe that you can do what they're doing. And then when you find out, they're really not doing what they say they're doing. Then social media is crazy like that, right? Everybody's balling. Everybody's making all this money because, again, you're showing me your vehicle. You're showing me the private jet. You're showing me the Louis Vuitton bag. You're showing me all of that like you're really and truly balling.
Hey, Eric, what makes you think that you successful, Eric? What makes you believe that you're successful? I'm saying, don't you got like yachts and stuff like that? What separates you from like the folks that are out there giving this type of advice and financial advice? What separates you, like how you treat your clients, and how do you help them get like financially healthy? Like, what does that look like?
So for me, again, that's why we call ourselves the financial turtle around here. For me, everything is not microwavable. Everything is not I'm going to start this and I'm going to be successful in 30 days. It's almost like somebody saying, I can fix your credit in 30 days. Come on, come on. If you're doing that, again, if you believe it's cool to tell somebody that you can dispute and remove stuff that is actually your debt, if you think that's fine, cool. Again, we're not going to discuss that today. But when I sit down, so I'd say that to say, people call me all the time and they say, do you do credit repair? And I always say to them, not the credit repair that you think. And they're like, what does that mean? No, I teach you how to live within your means. I teach you how to pay your bills. I teach you how to be able to save money and do things where if an emergency was to happen, I have an emergency fund. I have a savings account. I have a brokerage account. I have the type of things that would keep me out of being in credit card debt and bringing my credit score down. We don't want to hear that. We just want to be able to ball and do all these things and get all this credit to do it. And then if I can't pay it back, so be it. So be it. I just don't pay that credit card. I just don't pay that. And then once it goes into collections, I find one of these credit repair people to get it removed, even though it's my debt. You have to be morally bankrupt to believe that that's the way you're supposed to operate and live your life. It's like, I hope I don't hurt anybody's feelings by saying it that way. But why do you think you should be able to live off of other people's money and do all these things and then not have to pay for it? Because when I hear these videos and I watch this stuff, that's the way I look at it. I look at it like you're giving me full range to do whatever I want to do. And then once it's time to pay the piper, so to speak, you're going to help me get it removed. That's what credit repair is, right? That's what they're saying they're doing in credit repair, right? I'm not lying on them, right? That's what they're saying they're doing.
Yeah,
exactly what they're saying they're doing. I know you're spitting out all these laws and all this and that to tell me how I can force somebody to prove that's my debt when I know for a damn fact it's my debt. So if you think that's living financially free, or you think that's how you're supposed to live your life, there's really nothing to say about that. So again, like I said, when I sit with clients, we definitely talk about living within your means. We talk about built-in emergency funds. We talk about if it's a situation where there's more bills than money. That happens because, especially if you've been living above your means and not taking care of your finances, we talk about growing your shovel. So we talk about getting a better job, making more money, or getting a side hustle or something like that. And again, I know a lot of people don't want to hear this. I tell people a lot of times, if you need to get money, if you need to bring more money into your business, you think into your home, you think that getting a business is the answer to that. But again, you don't think about all the overhead. You can actually have a business and the business loses money, correct?
Yeah. And you end up losing
You
the money that you already had.
Because again, I'm not trying to be funny. All these people who are getting audited and stuff like that, who come in here with their taxes, they usually get audited because they're showing businesses that are taking these huge losses, correct? So you can't tell me that if I automatically open a business, it's automatically going to solve my needing more money problem, right? So if I say to somebody, you need to go work security, or you need to take what you do and go work someplace else part-time where you're just sitting and you don't have any overhead expenses, stuff like that, but you're getting a guaranteed check. But again, our culture, the way we think nowadays, that doesn't make sense to us. I've got to have a business. I've got to be balling. I've got to open a business if for no other reason than to be able to write all this stuff off. And again, that makes no sense if your business doesn't make revenue. It makes absolutely, you're hustling backwards, so to speak. So I'm going to go buy a car. Like one of the funniest videos that I ever seen on a person who is a actual CPA, he says, and everybody follows him. The very first video someone sent to me, I think I've said this before in videos. He said he had a Toro business, and he said he was renting the Mustang out for he made $5,000 renting it out, but he had $25,000 in expenses. And the guy who was interviewing him was jumping and hooping and hollering like he taught him how to split an atom. And someone like me is watching that and saying, how is that a great thing? Because he saved money on his taxes. And if I understand that it's not dollar for dollar, so I had to spend $20 to, if I'm in the 10% tax bracket, I spent $20 to save $2,000 on my taxes. Where does that make sense at?
Make it make sense, Eric. Make it make sense.
But again, if you don't understand how taxes work, someone like T.I. can sit on a stage and say, if you have $3 million in bills in taxes, go buy a $3 million jet. And everybody screams and hollers like he's giving you a gym, like he's giving you incredible information. But someone who does taxes, who knows what they're doing, knows that ain't even close to being true. One of the things that I talk about with clients, which going back to that, when someone asked me, I said, but wouldn't you get the same thing if I took the $20,000 and put it into my 401k? What do you mean? All he's doing is taking the 20, because again, if I don't own a business and I show a 20,000, if all I have is my business, if I don't have a W-2 or anything, and I show a $20,000 loss on my Schedule C, where are the tax savings on that? It's a loss. I don't pay any taxes. What are you talking about? But if I have a $100,000 job and I take the $20,000 loss, it brings my AGI down from 100 to 80. So now I'm saving taxes, correct? But if I'm about growing wealth, if I'm about growing generational wealth and being able to have money and retire, why would it make more sense for me to blow $20,000 as opposed to putting it into a retirement account that I'm going to get the same tax savings? The only difference is, you're right, I'm still going to have to pay Social Security on the whole 100, as opposed to because I don't have to pay Social Security taxes on a loss. I still have to pay Social Security taxes on the 100, but I'm only paying federal on the 80. These people out here who are scamming, who don't know how to do taxes, they can't tell you that. But if what you're doing, that if I have a job that has a $100,000 W-2 and I put 20,000 into my, okay, it brings it down. If you don't believe me, look at your W-2. Line 3 is what you make. Line 1 is what you're taxed on after the 401k. Correct? Correct. All right.
Good.
And again, that's another part. If I tell you something, I'm going to explain it. I'm not going to give you a 15-second commercial and dance around and point at people and do all that like I know what the hell I'm talking about. I said I wasn't going to cuss.
You're good, Eric. You're good, Eric. But I see the passion.
Other people's videos and stuff like that, like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely love the passion, Eric, that you have and how you're able to help those clients.
Me, when I saw that video, the very first time I saw that video, and again, think about that. Think about that. So if that's how I operate every year, how long am I going to be in business? If my business is legitimately taking $1,000 loss every year, legitimately taking a $20,000 loss every year, because that's the hook, right? Go get a business and write everything off and show it negative so you don't got to pay any taxes and stuff like that. How long am I going to be in business?
How long?
That's the frustration, if you want to be honest with you, is these people are taking advantage of people who can't take these losses. Imagine paying $5, $10, $15, $20,000 for that garbage information. How did that help me grow my business by you teaching me that? And again, I'm $20,000 in the hole just from your course. There are people who are never going to make that money back. I'm paying $20,000 just for your course, for you to teach me this garbage information, to teach me how to do bank fraud.
Oh, wow.
Like that. We see the videos all the time, right? We see the videos all the time of all these people trying to do what they're being taught in these courses. I said I wasn't going to mention him no more. But you remember the thing about the car with the bank fraud? They're showing videos of people going to prison right now because they took your course on how to do this. So again, if you're somebody who has a legitimate course or whatever, and you're offended by what I'm saying, I apologize. But there's enough videos out here showing people going to jail and to prison, taking these courses. Again, I've actually had to sit with the IRS over clients who were taught or told something, and then when it came time to go to the IRS, the person who did it or taught it to them wouldn't go to the IRS with them. So I'm just at the IRS with you. We're not there for something I did. I'm at the IRS with you because no one else will go with you. No one else will go and have the conversation.
Is that where you went? Why did you go? Why did you go up there and really step in to really help that person? It really wasn't your deal, wasn't your place to step in there. Why would you do that, Eric?
Because again, I want to help people. I don't want to just, again, I'm not the drug dealer. That's the best way of putting it. I'm not the drug dealer. I'm not just selling you the drug and then letting you go on your way. For this situation, which was sad, one person got a letter and all the IRS said was, we just need you. It was for an ERC. They're like, we just need you to send us your 941s and your pay stubs. And the person came in and they're like, we're not understanding. And I said, do you have the W-2s and the pay stubs for the people, for your employees? They said, we don't have any employees. I said, what a 941 is. And again, we're going to get into this stuff later.
Yeah.
They have a business and you don't understand how profit and loss statements work. You don't understand how balance sheets work. You don't know what a 941 is. I'm not trying to say it in a rude manner. You really need to take the time before you start a business and sit and take the $250, $300, whatever it is hourly to talk to somebody who is legitimate, who has no dog in this hunt. And what I mean when I say has no dog in this hunt, When people come into my office, this is what I charge per hour. It does not matter what you do as far as what advice I give you or what I tell you to do, advise you to do. I'm only charging you the hour. If someone says I can get you the ERC credit, but I need 10 to 15% of whatever I get you, you should run like hell. But we don't. We see, oh, you got me $1,000 or whatever, and you just want 10 to 15% of that. Okay, do whatever you need to do. And then me and you are at the IRS because you don't even know what a 941 is. And for everybody who does not know what a 941 is, a 941 is the quarterly form that you fill out if you have employees. So if you don't have any employees, you don't fill out 941s. But people are out here filling out ERC forms saying that these businesses have employees to get the ERC. That's a lie too, right? Because we can YouTube those videos right now. Those videos are interesting, but yeah, we can video tip those right now. Same thing with the PPP loans, all of that stuff. And again, if you sit down with somebody and they say, I need 10 to 15% of whatever I get you, you should run like hell. But sadly, a lot of times, all we see is you're getting me all this money. I told you, I lose a lot of clients because they come in here and we don't do that nonsense. And then they go to somebody else who says, I can get you way more than he did. And then you get audited. And a little trick for everybody, if you don't believe me, first of all, if they even send you a copy of the return, if they even send you a copy of the return, of them doing the return, look where it says pay preparer. What does it usually say, Isaac?
Self-prepared.
All right. Why would it say self-prepared? Don't you got a PTIN number? Don't you got an EIN number? Don't you have a PTIN number? Why would you?
I'm doing it in my garage, Eric. What do you mean? I don't know.
Why would you not have?
I don't have those numbers like that. I picked up a book. Cousin taught me.
You see what I'm saying? It is so sad out here. And again, I understand everybody is trying to hustle. Everybody is trying to get more money, but you're the one being hurt. The client, the customer, you're the one being hurt because you think this person is looking out for your best interests. They're not. They're only looking out for themselves. And once they sell you the product or do the return or do whatever they do, it make you believe that they've really helped you and taken care of you. Again, I know I use this analogy all the time. It's shoplifting. It's shoplifting. Do you get caught every time you go shoplifting? More than likely not, right? Because you'd be a damn fool to keep going shoplifting if you keep getting caught.
Yeah.
So it's all good till you get caught, all right? So I'm going to keep going to you. I'm going to keep having you mess my taxes up and get me way more money than I'm supposed to get or whatever till I get audited. And now I'm red flagged, right? Now I'm red flagged. And not only that, if I get audited, I got to pay back all the money that you got me. If I owed money, I got to pay all of that money. In many cases, I got to pay the penalties and the interest. And I already paid you. I got to pay all that stuff back. I'm never going to get my money back from you because you hooked me up, because you gave me the hookup, because you took care of me, because you did this great thing that a person who knows what they're doing didn't do. Because again, my PTIN number is on everything I file. So if I'm out here filing fraudulent tax returns, I'm going to lose my licenses. Correct?
That's correct, Eric.
That's common sense. That's become good. Like I said, when I'm sitting at the IRS and we're looking at it and it says self-prepared, me and the IRS agent, we're just shaking our head. Because again, like I said to the client, this looks like you did this return. What are you talking about? It says self-prepared on it. You didn't know that it says self-prepared on it? No, I never got a copy or whatever. Well, it says self-prepared on it. The person who did your return, they won't even put their information on it because they can't, because they don't.
So you can't even track it back to that person because it shows that they did it. So it's basically saying that you did this tax return and this is your responsibility.
Correct.
So there was no other party involved.
And here's the worst part. It's your responsibility anyway, because you signed it. As far as they're concerned, you signed it. So it's your responsibility anyway. At least you could go to the person who did it if they're legitimate. And that person will say, hey, I have NO insurance, or hey, we'll go in and we'll take care of that for you. We'll get it fixed or whatever. But some shade tree tax preparer, what I mean when I say shade tree, right?
That boy said shade tree, say shade tree tax preparer. Anyway,
shade tree tax preparer, they're going to stop taking your phone calls. They ain't going to talk to you no more.
That's good, Eric. This has been great, man. As we wrap up, can you give us some takeaways today as far as business versus hobby? Can you just wrap that up in a nice one little bow for us as we conclude this podcast for today? What are your thoughts?
I always say, and me and you laugh about this, I'm not the Grim Reaper. And what I mean by that is I'm not telling you not to follow your dream. I'm not telling you not to follow your passion. I'm not telling you to not start a business. I'm not even telling you to not go get a loan. But what I'm telling you is you need to understand the risk. All we talk about is the reward of starting a business or doing all these type of things. Even something as simple as investing. Me taking my money and investing, I understand the reward, but I also have to understand the risk. So I can't put all of my money into an investment. And then if that investment falls apart, I could lose my home or I could lose my car. I could lose something because I don't understand the risk of doing that. Same thing applies when it comes to a business. And I'm not above you going into debt. I know all these people say rich people, wealthy people, they have all this debt. But usually you're going into debt because you're taking that debt and investing it in something that makes way more money than the debt. A great example of that would be if I have all this money in my home and I take the money out and get a HELOC or do whatever, it doesn't make any sense if what I invest the money in doesn't cover the HELOC and the interest and give me more, right? Why would I do that? So again, to wrap it up, not to take a shot at anybody, why would I be impressed with you driving in these cars, taking these private jets, going on all these vacations? How does that grow my business? I need you to show me how to grow my business. I don't need to be impressed by this fluff. If you say you're going to help me grow my business, show me. Show me how I'm going to take this money and grow my business. And it can't be cookie cutter because everybody doesn't have the same type of business, right? So what you going to teach me in this course? It can't be cookie cutter, right? Everybody has a different type of business. Everybody has a different type of way that they should be spending their money, correct?
Right.
I have a business that does not have a lot of overhead at all. So when we have conversations, it's mainly if you do this, you're going to profit because I don't have a whole lot of overhead. The more sales I get, the more profit I get because I don't have overhead. But again, I'm not even knocking the people who are teaching the courses and stuff like that. I just think that, you should really and truly think, am I helping people with these courses? Am I really helping people if I say I'm doing credit repair? If all I'm doing is, because what lesson are you learning if I'm basically telling you, no matter what you do, I'm going to get it removed for you? What lesson am I learning? It's one thing if I say, hey, okay, we're going to do this, the credit repair again, like I was talking about. No, we're going to teach you how to live below your means. So you're never here again. I don't hear that part. I just hear, hey, we can get everything removed in 15 to 30 days. I hardly ever hear anybody say, I'm going to teach you how to not be here again.
Wow.
Again, great example of that is, yeah, when I started my business and I stopped bringing in my check and I was just on commission and doing all this, that, yeah, I struggled. But do you think I spend all my money now? Or do you think I have a 401k, a brokerage account, high yield savings account, all these things that I put money in every month in case something was to happen to me in my business? Because I don't want to be in a position where I'm struggling if I have a bad month, if I have a bad couple of months or whatever. Again, I don't take the courses. So maybe you're teaching people this in these courses. Who's to say? I don't believe you are. But if you say you're really and truly teaching people how to grow their business and how to be successful and do generational wealth, are these the conversations? Are these conversations you're having in these courses? Are you teaching people how to do bank fraud? Are you teaching people how to write stuff off that has nothing to do with your business? Or it's not helping you grow your business? Let me rephrase that. It's not helping you grow your business because again, I should be thinking about growing my business. And some of the things I see people saying and doing in their videos, that's not helping people grow wealth. It's not.
Thank you, Eric. Thanks for tuning in to the Financial Turtle. If you're ready to take that next step towards financial clarity, visit andersontaxes.com. Learn more about our team and connect with us. Make sure you subscribe and share this episode to someone who may need some guidance, some real guidance, not just good sounding advice, you guys. Remember, the goal isn't to just move fast, it's to move smart. Let's be the tortoise, not the hare, like Eric said. And we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us.